So, after you received all that money, what did you do? Did you spend it all? Hey, that's a huge amount. How did you spend it all? Did you use it all up quickly? Yeah, I spent it all, but look at me. Okay, I have to go now. It's not a video. Test. Hello, everyone. So today I'm in Mulri, Ulsan, and I'm here to see my friend. My friend started a new restaurant business, so I'm here at the opening. Please listen to it once and check it out. It's called Yeombaek Food, and they've set up a great space. I already know about that, but I think it would be good for our viewers to hear about it directly. Well, then I'll go into the business and listen for myself. Hello. Now, this is the workplace where I, Choi Kyung-gu, work. Do I have to say that I'm starting a new job tomorrow? First, it's the opening ceremony. First, I'll lend you my microphone, and I'll do the introductions and set the mood for our event. Hello everyone, today I am in Ulsan. I'm Kimchi-gu, and I'm here to introduce myself in person. Let me greet the viewers and introduce myself. Hello? I'm so grateful to all of you who love NK television. Also, our friend is
far away. All the way from Ulsan.
So, I opened a business called Kimchi Jeommunjeom Yeombaek Sikpum here. So, I'm trying to work really hard. I would appreciate a lot of support. Yes, so today I learned for the first time that my wife and I have been eating less because my kidney function is weak. But I wondered if I could really make a dish called Yeombaek Sikpum all the way from North Korea, and if I could show you the process of making it directly on this camera so that our viewers can see it. Yes, I'll prepare it too.
Okay, let's cook.
The preparation is now complete. As you can see, I used all the ingredients like this. So actually, I originally went to Jeju as a house guest, filmed there, and then came back. But today, the Wi-Fi in Jeju is so slow that I couldn't go, so I'm here. Why is it so slow? Get ready and leave.
Waterside view.
After making it, let's add the seasoning and prepare the marinade.
Bokansi hour.
Hwanghae-namdo, Southern Region traditional style. That's correct. But even when I filmed the North Korean style dish, I don't know if my words will be of any help, but what I want to say is that if you try to make it in a completely North Korean style, it just doesn't work. Okay, I'll do it like that. Well, that's true. Even though it's a traditional dish, when you add a little twist or change it up a bit, people in the industry say it's going to be ruined, that it won't last long. Maybe a lot of people who have tried and failed think that way, but since it's the first time we're doing it in South Korea, isn't it better to try it out and see what works? The hardest part was getting used to the business itself, since I didn't know the process at all. When I asked people around me, they helped me out a lot. Isn't it better to use something with a lid to keep things from spilling out? Now, I have to do the cleaning, so I just stand there and wait for someone to come and get me.
Like that. Like that.
Iga doesn't have any eyebrows like this. Your mom's kindness leads to you getting scammed repeatedly. You never learn from these experiences. When you take your time buying things, you do it well. But when you rush, you don't. Isn't it better to make thoughtful purchases rather than just buying for the sake of it? But it's not really that bad for your health. Residents of Yangang and Hamgyeongbuk provinces survived by consuming wild edible plants. Hey, if you keep talking like that, people will think we went to the river to wash and tried to cross over. There's no river here, but there is the Taedong River. If you want to go that far, from there, the living conditions are like that, so that's just how it is. But seriously, Do you really eat things like eels, frogs, or soft-shelled turtles from the riverbank, or even things like catfish and loaches from the Taidong River? No, that's not what I meant. They eat it, they wash with it, they use it for laundry, they use it for bathing, they even drink it. I mean, not everyone drinks it, but they do use it for eating and drinking. What about salt then, Zhongmao? But there's nothing new about it. That's how it is, Liya. But you have to live your life doing kimchi gymnastics, making a living with kimchi, and then starting to sell it. I already knew that you were good at making kimchi even before. Were you nervous? Did you say you were going to do it alone? I had a lot of thoughts, I worried a lot, and I wondered, why did I worry so much? I worried and thought about it a lot. Kimchito did it too, and I looked around the neighborhood, and I did it a few times. There are a lot of different kinds. Jejumun kept coming in, so after doing it a few times, at first it was people I knew, so I just gave it to them a couple of times, but as the orders kept coming in and more people kept asking, I realized there were more and more people ordering. It's not something you can keep doing like that. That's why I didn't do it, that's why. So that's how it happened, and I thought it would be best to do something I can do well. You keep doing something that's just a fantasy, something you can't even do. You're living in a fantasy, imagining things rather than actually doing them, isn't it? Isn't it kind of like that? Isn't it the same? Ah, right. I also didn't know at first, but after watching together a few times, I got to know. If you don't do it, you won't know, but once you do, you learn. Now there are a lot of things I know, so now I have to pass them on to others. Right now, my stomach isn't feeling well. Yeah, what I'm doing today is because of my stomach. If you do that, you have to pick out a lot of kimchi leaves in front of you and keep talking gently, and you have to go all the way down to the bottom of the cabbage. Oh, and if you keep doing that, it'll be even better.
It would be nice, but now.
You have to make a lot of kimchi and pickle it, make a lot and pickle it. In this one store, the production volume is regulated so that you can only make a certain amount of kimchi, so the production capacity is limited. That's why you can't make more than a certain amount of kimchi. So if you open a second or third branch of this store and say there are a few more stores, then you have to divide the kimchi ingredients among those kimchi businesses. So the main customers are newlyweds and Korean families. And there are also people who can't get jobs at other companies right now. And those people, most of our North Korean defectors end up working in the agricultural sector.
Because of that.
They can only do jobs that they are able to do.
So jobs.
They harvest crops, process kimchi, sell it, and if there are only a few businesses that make and sell kimchi products, all the kimchi ingredients and distribution start from there and can go into every household.
And with that,
it can also receive support as a youth business. To qualify as a youth, you must be up to 39 years old. That's good for us. I know this friend is a year younger than you, just by a few months, Amuten. Lee-Cherun, don't act like we're the same age and hang out with younger people. I'm just saying. So you didn't even make it to 4 months, right? Let's see, December, January, February, March. It was less than 4 months. It was just 3 months. Paying back borrowed money is kimchi's principle, no matter how small the amount. If you can't repay, don't borrow in the first place. To make this, use aged salt taken from a kimchi making cauldron, not regular salt. Use it when you receive an order. When you get an order, you have to make it, right? So now you deliver it by courier. But since the kimchi is already prepared and ready to be shipped, ordering 10 containers doesn't mean I can make them in a day. That's how it is. Right now there are no employees and I'm doing it alone. So if the demand increases, I need to hire employees. I thought Lee-Cherun and Choi Seung-hyung were sitting on this one earlier. Looks like the same one. Those guys told me to go to the sea through the swimming pool, but I didn't go, and I didn't go either. I haven't been to the sea even once in the past 8 years. I heard it once, but it was scary. It was really scary for you too, right? But I have to be even more scared, that's the reality. But I also feel that way at the sea. How would I know about that from somewhere else? But even when I heard it once, I couldn't really understand it.
Yeah, Kyujin.
I don't know why, but I went into the restroom, did my business, and then I heard something, but I couldn't really hear it. And then after eating, I just lay down in the back and was dozing off. And suddenly I heard a loud noise. I tried to get up quickly, but my stomach was so full that I couldn't move well. So I just lay there for a while. I don't remember exactly. That's it. 잘키는 더서. Right now, it's not as deep as it was back then. So I don't think it will go in, right? Hey, this is gonna take a while to cool down. If you have money, you can just come back later. There are machines that can cut this, you know. If you know the place, you can just go there and get it done easily. But since we don't have money right now, we have to cut it by hand. Put it over there. No, this side is all done, but that side isn't finished yet. That side isn't finished yet. This is seasoned radish, but it's like making kimchi. Yeah, that's right. This is because the seasoning hasn't soaked in yet. Yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right. Then it'll get even tastier, like that, just like that. The longer it sits, the better it gets. If you add a lot of green onions to the kimchi will taste much fresher. If you put a lot of green onions in the kimchi, you have to call it pajang, that's just how it is. This is something you discovered it. No, it's not. Before, my mom just made it at home a few times the way she used to, and then she said she was gonna make it for the church gathering, so she made a lot. Is there some kind of secret recipe for this too? That's right, Seung-hyung.
Yes, yes.
So is that how kimchi is made? Yes, yes, that's how kimchi is made. Park Soo, clap, 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 clap.
Yeah.
So then you have to put kimchi in here, but how much do you need for one? 3 pounds and 5 ounces. For one, 3 pounds and 5 ounces. How much is 3 pounds and 5 ounces? Just enough to fill it up. Just enough. Now put the kimchi in like this. 3 pounds and 5 ounces. 3 pounds and 5 ounces. Just enough for 3 pounds and 5 ounces. It costs 10,000 won, which isn't cheap, but everything is imported nowadays.
And by hand.
Since I do it like this, if I have to cherish something, I use only 100% domestic products. Right now, there are also some orders I received. For example, 10 orders from here, 5 from over there, 3 and 2.
Beyond your order.
Listen, this is Kimchi speaking. Here, I'm the one who takes the orders. Although I haven't officially opened yet, orders are already coming in. I'm delivering here because people have been requesting it. If you want to try it, just place an order and I'll bring it to you. But Jungyu, Seung-hyung, if you place an order, it becomes an order. And if you want delivery, it's delivery. For example, if you want just 1 3 pounds and 5 ounces pack, just say so. But for the delivery fee, you have to pay separately. Yes, I'm Choi Soo-young from Cheonggu. And this is my first time producing kimchi. I just made my first batch. I eat a lot of kimchi and I really love it. That's why I'm starting this kimchi business for the first time. So if you could support me, especially since I'm just starting out in Korea, and if many of you could help and support me, I think it would go really well. So when was it? It's not perfect yet, but I'll do my best to make it perfect.
Many supporters.
Nice to meet you. Yes, I will do my best to answer the questions from all our viewers here. If there are any of you who want to see me in person, please contact me and I will be happy to meet you. Yes, we're wrapping things up here today. Is there a part 2? Well, since we're only meeting in the morning, there are a few people I know, but I can't invite them today. Today I went to Ulsan and attended a special event there. And then I hung out with my friends like this. Isn't that what you wanted to hear? Is that enough? But over there, that's Yepei's Namdaho restaurant. The boss is a really nice person. Actually, I can't eat raw fish very well, but even though I can't eat it well, I was sitting outside and the boss came over and said, "It's okay," and brought it to me. So I got to know him and we've been in touch. So you're watching the broadcast. Well, thank you for watching and thank you so much. But then I went to a cafe and today I went to Ulsan. Since I only saw you at the cafe, I wondered if you were from Ulsan, or if you were a regular at the cafe, or if you knew the cafe owner. They asked me to sign, but the important thing is I can't sign. But Sung Hyung, you have to talk about this here, right? No, I don't have any complaints and the viewers are all treating me well and supporting me, so I'm grateful. I really liked the company cafeteria, but after eating there once during the evaluation, I got food poisoning, so I didn't eat there again after that.
I haven't eaten it since then.
I ate it, but after that I stopped eating it, and now I'm slowly starting to eat it again, trying to get back into it. I don't like things that are good for your health, but don't taste good. When I hear it, even the way it sounds is different. That's what I thought. It snowed a lot, yeah. It snowed more than I expected. It snowed for 3 months straight. Don't just look at the snow, eat a lot, and keep your strength up until you get home. You have to eat this, and this too.
Hey, this
How do I eat this?
crunchy and crispy.
If you chew it well, it digests easily. And if you don't eat it, no, that's not it. If you chew the skin thoroughly, it tastes good. So don't think you shouldn't eat it. Seriously, this is really tasty.
More than this. This?
Jin Seop has a lot. If you squeeze it out, he has a lot.
This?
Do I have to eat it? This is supposed to be something you eat.
That's why it's a side dish.
It's like a big root, such as wild ginseng or burdock, so it's healthy. So, you can get it from the roots, but it's really bitter. It's so bitter that you can't eat it, and even if you try, you can't swallow it. If you listen to me, my teeth are all bad. You know, I can't chew because I don't have teeth. People who have good teeth can definitely eat it. Ansun. When I eat it again, I remember the taste of the food we used to eat, but it's not the same. Back then it tasted so good, and I keep thinking about that. But now when I eat it, I feel like I can't taste it the same way. It's like I can't really eat it anymore. Back then it was just so chewy and slippery. It wasn't raw. It was really tough.
It was just cut up and served.
Put it in just like that, just like that. I recall the school lunch menu from my childhood. It always included pickled radish and occasionally seasoned seaweed or other side dishes. Being a country school, we had to eat whatever was served. These side dishes are a strong memory from my school days. Our viewers might not know this, but we raised money at school to buy a computer. We collected money from the students, and that's how it was. Did you ever go to Young Ho Jung's place and play Go? Did you know about that? So those things now Young Ho.
But
The fish are all gathered together in the tank?
they're alive, the fish.
They've become like that because if they're not, they can't eat comfortably or move freely, and they seem to know their environment too well. That's why they're just like wild dogs. That's why you shouldn't try to catch this animal in a place where there's no shelter. But if you corner it, even though there are so many places to hide, it still manages to escape and survive like this. If you keep doing that, these animals become more clever.
That's why.
It's the same. If that's the case, then there's a reason for that. A bird knows how to fly, a fish knows how to swim, a mole knows how to dig, and a giraffe knows how to eat leaves from tall trees. Even in the Bible, there are such phrases. The more you study the Bible, the more you realize that there are words like that. And even in the middle of that, you are living in such a region. So maybe it's the book of Nahum, chapter 9, verse 18, or maybe it's not. But you mentioned 9, 18. And where was that in the Old Testament, in the book of Zephaniah or the book of Sophar? There was a place called Andong.
That's right, that's what it was.
Mulia, that's all. It was Sinbalgyo, Sinjakyo, and the lower one was Sinjakyo.
That's how it went.
Hey, back then you did better than Soyoung, and you're still doing well now. Hey, why do you keep bringing that up? When we were in the military, we always stuck together, and even now, we're still together.
Why are you eating that again?
Just eat it. But
A natural mountain should be natural, right? A real natural mountain should be natural. It's really fresh. I found the black rockfish, I found the sole, I found the ramen soup, I brought the water, I even caught the Korean seaweed, but you didn't do anything. No, you think about it. You just put all the hard work on me, and then you just eat it all up and say it's delicious, and then you just leave the dishes for me to clean up.
yeah, that's how it is.
Even if you don't do it on YouTube, you shouldn't say that. No, that's not it. The thing is, you weren't there, so how could you know? That's why you couldn't be in that situation. You turned from your current position and the new development was good, but it wasn't new because you were new. It was just step by step. I was slipping, holding on, then the balance returned and I regained my position. Despite the rain, I had to wear slippers while you wore those good stair-like shoes, explaining the difference. But back then, that was the trend. Everyone wanted to wear those. Later, street fashion became more popular, so people wore those monthly. But before that, this is the day before, no, not even the day before, but that very night, I was thinking about breaking up. Yeah? When I was about to say it, you told me to hold on. And you said you felt the same way. So I tried to let it go, but you came back to me. And that's how we ended up spending another day together. That's what happened.
Hey,
Among all the variables, the best one has to be that one. Acting cool and indifferent, then falling for you would be even more embarrassing. That's why I must be extra careful.
I couldn't do it, but
Because there's a ledge, it's easier to go down. I couldn't help it, so I held onto the railing, then grabbed the net, then held onto the pallet, then grabbed the net again. Back then I couldn't hear well because I was so scared. When you're really scared, you don't even feel pain. I just held on tight and somehow managed to get through it. There was no time to think, so maybe that's what they call animal instinct or primal strength. That's right, and you were really amazing too. And now, looking back, there are so many things that only make sense now. That's why we made it through. Hey, my legs kept shaking as I was going up, but I just kept going.
at that time
Now, you don't even touch the ground with your feet anymore. You just go straight up the wall, holding onto the rock, and your feet and hands are all on the rock. Honestly, I don't have much muscle.
It's not just because of the snow. Hey,
You know, if I made the food, you should at least do the dishes. Everyone should do their part. You know, there's a certain vibe, a certain atmosphere, and that's why.
It's the stubbornness of the liver.
Just like that.
Hold on tight.
No. Sit still and don't try anything weird. He just sits there, looking at the scenery, looking at the things around him.
Done?
As much as water in the ecosystem.
It was there.
I told you not to put that water in. That's why there are algae and all sorts of things. So there are even mosquito larvae. Han Byung-man, when you look at the water bottle, you see things floating inside and the water is about halfway. You open it, pour it out, and refill it repeatedly. Han Byung-man, how much water do you think you drank from that bottle? If you continue, how many bottles would you have emptied? If you turn that line, you have to go over there, but I was standing here, so I pulled the fishing line from up here. So we were standing on the line, and when we tried to reel it in, it just got tangled, so I had to go over there and untangle it. That's why it got tangled, you know? That's what happened. Now, when you get off the cliff and look, it's not just a simple distance. We went down for about an hour, and it was about 7.5 miles in a straight line. But when we actually walked it, it was about 15.5 miles or 16 miles. When you look at the map, the distance looks short, but when you actually walk it, it's much longer. I thought it was only about 4 miles, but it turned out to be much farther. So when you say things like that, people all think it's just a short distance. Why does 4 miles have to be considered short? No, it's just that people who don't know the area well think it's a short distance because the river looks close. They just imagine it or they just hear about it and then they all know. They say it's only about 7 miles and since I came, I just crossed that line like that. That's how I survived. That's how the yonbak cabbage, which is a specialty product here, came to be produced. Back then, Korean boats couldn't come to our island, so if we missed the ferry, we couldn't come back.
They said it was complicated, but
Behind the ship we were on, there was a small boat about 109 yards away.
Just 109 yards away.
Anyway, there was an island at that distance. It looked like there were no buildings on it. If you look at the map, there are buildings there now. But they're not Korean buildings, they're North Korean buildings. I mean, there are buildings, North Korean buildings.
that's right.
I was amazed. When we came here, everyone was...
Well, there was nothing at all.
But now, when I look at the map, all those buildings are there. They weren't there before. But when we came up to the mountain and looked down, we could see people coming out of the north. We saw them, right? We definitely saw people from the north.
Clam gathering.
The people coming out are likely clam gatherers. However, based on our observation, they are gathering clams in North Korean territory. That's not it. They're not old fishermen or anything like that. They're just ordinary people. Those people are probably our people, or at least people like us who come out to gather clams because the water is shallow and the water doesn't get deep, so they can't go out far even if they wanted to. When we go down there, I don't even know if we'll be able to catch anything on the mud flats. But I have to go. I have to go down to the mud flats for at least an hour or two. I was lost in thought, thinking about how I've managed to survive from childhood until now. When we were riding the boat along Lee-Cherun, there were so many things to see along the way. That's why there was so much to talk about, so many stories. No, but in the meantime, I was wondering how things turned out. The ones that spin are the ones that spin, the black ones are the new ones, and the ones that spin are the ones that spin. They say it's called Sanjeo, and that's what they call it. Sanjeo. They say it's Sanjeo and Gorai, but Sanjeo is the best. Hey, you and I both saw it, but the others who didn't see it somehow guessed it right. It's not a shark, it's a whale, a black spinning whale. That's where it lives, but they mistakenly called it a shark. If it were a shark, it would have died. We were both bleeding, but maybe only you died. Now I let you go. I let you go and told you to go up, and then I tried to tie you to the net, and then you got tangled up, and then when I came up, you kept struggling like that. So I thought, this is how history is made. No, that's what I thought. That's what I did. We did that a lot, so we became like that. We just held on and put it in the net and then let it go. If you tie it to the rope and hang it, it has to come out like this, just like this, just like this. That's how it should be in the culture. I tried it and thought it would work, but it was amazing that it actually did. Sometimes things just come to us like that, like a sign from above, and that amazed me too. Even without water, just standing there just like this, you have to talk calmly. But the speed at which we go down is as fast as a water slide, so if you do that, you go down again, go back up, and then you follow along from there. Just by doing this, we were able to float. If you try to do this, there's no current, but if you move just a little bit, you start to float again. That's what happened.
People who ate.
Jin, Seop, and I are funny, so it's enjoyable to chat while eating together.
The viewers should be the ones having fun.
It must be entertaining. Otherwise, viewers will switch channels. They'll hear the story, eat, and if it's dull, they'll complain and create a disturbance.
Yes. You too.
You and Kang Jiro survived together.
It must have been like that for 2 months. When we look at it...
I just waited and waited, holding on to hope.
When we heard it before, together...
Listen, hey, if you do that, you'll end up like me, stuck in a small room with no one around.
I feel like I'm just following along without knowing why.
I did it just like Hyungi.
Young-gun, when I first started...
I sang and sang.
I think Hyung came after I was there for a while. I'm Choknam.
Seon is from the countryside, so Seon has to be properly educated now. I had to survive, even without food. If I made it through today, tomorrow would arrive. I was interrogated, and when I look back, I wonder how I endured all that, how I managed to get through all those beatings and everything. That was a huge amount, but I spent it all quickly, you know, right? Yeah, I know.
I did well compared to others.
I have to go for this too. It's not a video. We thought we survived.
Bye.
When Bae came out of the woods, I thought we survived. But even though we knew everything would be okay, we were still so nervous when Bae came out on the finish line, so we just waited anxiously. And then we heard our names being called in Korean on the scoreboard in Korean and through the speakers.
So I told myself, let's go.
So I just left and walked out. No, but even now, I don't go there. Honestly, I was born and raised in that village right next to the river, so I can't really tell if someone is North Korean or South Korean just by looking at them. So I stayed by the river, and sometimes I would go to the field, but I didn't really know much about what was going on. I just stayed by the river and in the field too. It was too dark to identify the ship's nationality when we first approached. As we got closer, I could faintly see a single flag, but couldn't confirm if it was North Korean.
On the mast.
Now, if it was a smokestack, I would have liked it if I could have just taken down the flag from that warship and brought it back. That also has its own meaning, and since it's so big, I'm sure there's a good reason for it. We have to make the flag big enough so that even those who don't know us or are far away can see it. That's why the flag needs to be big. But that's why we need to know the real reason behind it. If only Palit had known that it was a Korean ship, they would have come to us. Even if they were close, they couldn't see the flag because it was too small. That's why they just passed by. If the flag had been bigger, they would have noticed us and come over. That's why it's important to have a flag that can be seen from far away, but they couldn't see it. So that's when we started making the pallet, and we never even thought about having to throw it out as a weapon or anything like that. That's because it's a Korean ship. But now the ship is anchored far away from us, so we have to get on another boat to go there, and the waves are so rough that we get soaked on the way.
When we got on the boat,
So when we were coming in, I couldn't tell if it was Korea or not. The Hyungbyoungs were all like, hey, hey, Hyungbyung, hey. How nice was that Hyungbyung? Hey, those Hyungbyoungs, hey, they're all here. Hey, you'll live better than them, of course, that's for sure. Hey, you can't live like that. Hey, but still, I thought, even so, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. I want to be like them. I thought that. So I was standing next to him, and he kept glaring at me. And you know, you're even shorter than me. So when I stood next to you, I didn't really notice it, but I'm actually 2 3/8 inches taller than you. You have to be tall to look good, but that's not it. You just look tall because your face is long, that's all. But honestly, having a long face isn't a good thing. You, Yoksusu, just stay calm and listen.
That's not what I meant, Namsan. Namsan, what happened? Hey.
You can't just look at a drama and think the National Assembly is like a drama. Everything that happens in a drama is just fiction. You just ran around in the same building, running from room to room, so you just sat in front of the room with a suspicious chair. I'm surprised you're still in the National Intelligence Service. I've watched many movies since childhood, but never trusted them. Movies influence people easily, which is why you're like this now. You're still stuck in that news mindset.
That's it. Directly.
I came to Korea after hearing about it and visiting the theater once. Until now. The reason is, whether it's a movie or a drama, when I watch something like that, I get so immersed in the emotions in the world that I feel like I have to live like that, but I couldn't do that before. So now, I just watch YouTube or something like that, or if not that, I just listen to the news programs, and that's about it.
That's it. Like that.
I'm unsure if I'll be able to play the game or play it well. I've lost interest in it, and PC rooms are less common in Korea now. But that's something that a lot of people agree with, while there are other things that not everyone agrees on. What I really wanted to do was play games, to be good at this and that, but I couldn't do it. Even with sports, like sports in general, or esports, I couldn't do it. So I wanted to, but in the end, it just didn't work out. I just couldn't keep up with it. If you can't do it with a controller, you can still do it with a computer. Anyway, I end up not playing the games I really want to play. I'm 100% different from you. I usually don't get this nervous, even when I meet people, but today, as I was coming here, I was really nervous. It's not that you were mean, it's just that you left because you had your reasons. Like, yeah, you weren't mean, you weren't bad, you just left because you had your reasons. Then I came down here and I was so hungry that I didn't even eat breakfast. So I went to a convenience store, grabbed something quick, and then came here to talk to you. As I descended, I felt nervous and the hot weather made me sweat profusely. My sweat-soaked shirt made it feel even hotter, making it really tough.
It's really hot.
Does it rain a lot in Ulsan too? Ulsan is one of the best cities to live in Korea, so... Rain also depends on the region. So sometimes it doesn't rain much. And that's why people say it's a good city to live in. But here, the rain comes in a good way too. To be honest, you just read the news and then you say, oh, it snowed in Suyeon, or it didn't snow much. And then you just talk about it with your friends and act like you know everything. But that's not really being an expert, you know? So just because you talk about it doesn't mean you really know. Why didn't they prepare for the flood and typhoon in advance? That's the point. They should have done it, but they didn't. There was no proper preparation for the flood and typhoon. But still, they just let it happen.
With preparation and countermeasures.
Do it, you have to manage it as well. The more important thing is that it was done well in Namuri, in Bukhan, and all around the Angrok River area. The Sineje in Haesan is also all around the Angrok River area. The important thing is, if dirty water comes down from the Chinese side, no matter how well you do in Bukhan, there's nothing you can do about it. Jong-hoon couldn't imagine that. Jinpyong Hyungnim from China wouldn't say anything for no reason. And since Jinpyong Hyungnim is a silent person, he must have watched that person and then said it. Kim Jong-un came to Bangsan, but isn't it because of family matters, not something else? Sure, that day, I don't know what kind of rice I ate in Untold, but that rice must have been the last meal, right? The last meal of my life.
Be honest, answer me.
The same thing happened even in a remote northern region. The rice on the table was the same for us. Holding the rice bowl, I thought, yeah, this proves I'm still alive.
To put it simply, I'm building a stronghold in Nara. The important thing is that the government comes up with countermeasures. So, you can't control nature, and if you know that, then rather than trying to control floods with policies, it's better to just let nature take its course. Even if just one person had been more alert at that time.
Among the North Korean people.
If you just keep looking ahead and keep going, you'll reach your destination. When you enter the market, you have to keep your head down and avoid making eye contact with anyone. You can't just walk around looking up because there are guards everywhere, so you have to be careful not to stand out. No, it's not that there's air inside, it's that there's a secret compartment inside, and you have to go in. I shouldn't be the one going in. If Jong Eun-hyung does it well, he can swim really well. Sometimes you can even hear the sound of water splashing in the middle. Even dolphins can't swim well in the water, but Jong Eun-hyung's feet are this big. Some people have a strong attachment to North Korea.
The officials, the military.
Jong Eun-hyung is overly fixated on power. Those surrounding him, like the military and officials, would likely betray him for money. His former close associates would be the first to turn on him. No, it's not that. It's just so annoying I could die.
No, that's not it. Originally.
Youngwon just wants to act a little cute, but the kids around him get mad, so Youngwon ends up being the one who makes things awkward. That's all. Even when he tries to blend in with the group, Kim Jong-won always stands out. It's not just him. Even our church pastor stands out at first, but eventually blends in after about a month. However, Jung-won still doesn't quite fit in. Even when he had a cerebral hemorrhage, he didn't need that much support. If you live that long, you should stop it, but you can't even go by yourself, and you keep getting supported and go down like that. I'm not saying this to criticize, but just look at that. The old man is probably about 70 now, and he probably has only about 40 years left to live. Even so, the old man is going down there, struggling to go down. He could have come down on his own, but he's being supported and helped down. He should just get support and go down. What should I do? You must have opened it often. No, I didn't, but looking at it, I see the young people are making a mess in the field again. I'm going to go out quietly. Then, after that, he just sit there like nothing happened, clapping his hands, and then he gets up and leaves. The civilian's name is not Mr. Silyang, but Kim Jong-un Dongji. As a result, an investigation was conducted and he was arrested. Ah, right. If you just stand there with your neck stretched out, you'll get bitten. No, you have to be quick and move like that, or else you won't make it. Ah, right. You see, the reason why the party members are always so nervous is because they're always on edge, and even the new ones don't want to be nervous. No, Kim Jong-un won't go all the way. He won't go all the way. If you're a smart guy, you have to defect.
I am.
If you're like me, if you're someone like me, I wouldn't say anything, because today is the day we have to talk. Kim Jong-un did that, she did that, and even saw the group gathering in the field after doing that. Seung-hyung Lee from Jeju Island is discussing Yeonbaek food, which consists of white rice, barley rice, and wheat rice. He's unsure why it's called Yeonbaek food, but assumes it's because he's from Yeonbaek.
Because we are people from Yeonbaek, that's why.
That's why we named it that way. Many of our hometown people also miss the taste of our hometown.
Please take care of it, and if you do...
I would appreciate it. Lastly, how was it today? Kimchi worked really hard and did his best. But now that it's over and we can have a small break like this, I feel so happy. Today, for the first time in a while, I had a meal with my family like this, and I ate a dish I hadn't had in a long time. I had a bowl of it. While eating. When I listened to the viewers, there were times when I felt a little embarrassed, but honestly, when I meet those people in real life, I can't say anything harsh to them. I just can't. And besides that, in the process of us living in Korea,
In the events of our daily lives,
it's hard to say exactly, but in Korea, most people tend to be more realistic rather than dreaming big. So there are more people who give up on their dreams than those who pursue them. Also, over there in the north, even now in my hometown, people are still living like this, just like before. I did smile, but honestly, I don't feel good inside. I don't feel good, and I keep thinking, what if my family, my siblings, are also struggling like that out there? When I think about it, I can't help but feel heavy-hearted. That's why I wanted to share these words with you. Yes, many of our city officials are working hard to help my hometown. Hello viewers, nice to meet you. My friend Kyung-woo from Ulsan is visiting today. He recently moved to Seohai, then Gumjong, and now he's coming here. I thought it'd be interesting to discuss how he moved so quickly and what happened, so I prepared this for you. Hello viewers, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Choi Soo-young, making mandu in Ulsan. I'm making yeonbak kimchi. How's it turning out? Did you face any challenges when you first started making it? No, just because we do it doesn't mean we can easily say it's simple or that it's easy. If you do it, you'll know. I also couldn't easily say it was simple.
I'm making yeonbak kimchi too. How's YouTube going lately?
I just updated my YouTube channel, but a lot of people said,
about 600 people have subscribed.
please subscribe, please subscribe. Also, YouTube is a great place to share good news about my neighborhood, Jongseona, or other good information, but I don't have that ability. About kimchi.
I just want to focus on the public.
Thank you to everyone who has loved and supported me. I also want to say something about kimchi.
I was in North Korea. I must discuss this, but I can't ignore it. The situation was like this. I just had to keep going, and after watching the news, I immediately defected. I wondered if I was making the right choice, if I was defecting too quickly, and whether the person I loved would ever come to me. I had a lot of thoughts like that. When I look at the date, it was August 8th, and I saw the news on the 9th. So you came on August 8th, and that was the day. When I saw the tide chart for the West Sea, I realized that in North Korea, it was a time when the tide was low. So there are 1, 2, 3 tides, and when the tide is low, you can walk all the way to the mudflats. At that time, the lowest tide was on the 8th, so you could walk far out into the mudflats.
Up to the 15th tide, but the strongest tides are from the 6th tide.
When I checked the time and distance, it took about 3 hours, so the schedule was set for 3 or 4 in the afternoon. When I calculated the distance, I realized that the time I crossed over was reported in the news and in the articles, and it was also on the radio. I thought it was early in the morning, but when I checked the records, it turned out to be in the afternoon. Exactly like that.
What we know.
There is no answer. When you look at the water temperature indicator, it rises.
If it's that level, even Jongdong-yeon.
Looking at the state of the tide and the temperature and considering the area, now the water is just right for fishing. Now Hangang, Nansonggang, and Imjingang, the conditions are just right.
So now,
Because it's a water area. Honestly, in the north, there are a lot of fish and there are a lot of aquatic plants and underwater structures.
not like that.
It was a time like that, and since I knew that period well and came out after that, when I look at that area, the residents there, when there is water in our village, we can hear it, and when the water dries up, we can even smell the stench. Looking at this part in that day, I believe it was likely submerged underwater. There was probably no plan like this. He just walked straight and went straight ahead. It seems like he's someone who makes things too dramatic about Jo Seok-pyo. Since he's a fisherman, he probably knows well how much the water rises and how much the water moves when the tide comes in. Now, when I look at the distance and the slope, it looks like the Lee-Cherun tidal flat, which is famous for its mud flats. The tidal flat, also called Modo tidal flat, is one of the easiest slopes to reach the shore in Korea, just a few meters to the shore. If you walk straight, you can get there. But the important thing is, back in the 2000s, you had to think about the tide coming in right away. We were also in our 20s back then. But two people came, and then one person disappeared. We went there with the search and rescue team from our country, and when we looked, there were two people, but then one person was gone. They call this a mystery, but honestly, if you investigate that person thoroughly, you'll find out everything. If we track them down, I think we'll figure out what happened to that person. In my opinion, I think it's a mystery that this information about the United States is coming out in the media, whether it's from the Korean National Intelligence Service, the Military Intelligence Agency, or other intelligence organizations. Doing this, but I still don't know.
Like a parent and child relationship.
Sometimes a father might not be able to express his feelings well. And while living like that, there are times when things get awkward. But if that's not the case, you might come back together again. And if you're like me, you would have come back. After leaving like that, there was another family left because of the promise between father and son. And about that concern, the family survived. I thought maybe the father didn't go back because he believed his children were safe. Perhaps it was due to the situation at that moment. It doesn't have to be a father, there could be other reasons. It could be a sibling or someone close to us, or even just someone who has a strong sense of loyalty.
If not, then later.
You go ahead, I won't.
All right, like this.
There could have been a mistake. Before departure, I guess I didn't check the situation carefully in advance. Well, that's how it happened. Since we were together, it's possible for things like that to happen. If it's family, it's even more likely to get delayed or have a hard time. Friends are friends, but when it comes to family, it's even more understandable.
It's not like that, but...
When I thought about it again, I realized that the young man who said he was in his 20s was actually lying. So I started to have these kinds of thoughts too. If he didn't serve in the military and then defected, how did he manage to escape? Let's say he was just at home and he lived in that neighborhood. If he knew the border area really well, then maybe he was able to escape because he knew it so well. Or maybe he was in the military and he didn't want to go back to the military. So that's why he defected. That's also possible. That's why
In the Hwanghae-Namdo region?
most of the people there are from Gangwon-do.
Nagadara Gangwon-do.
If you go out to Lee-Cherun, next to it is Goseong in Gangwon-do province. That's how it is. There's the 1st Division and then there's the 5th Division over there. I hear more news about the outside than about the Hwanghae South area. So I only know a little about Hwanghae South.
It was too strict.
So I listened. And since I was in Dongnae, which is far away, I tried to adapt well. And that's how I ended up leaving my hometown.
By doing this,
So I went out to sea once. By going out like this, I realized that this friend is my style and you are your style. Right on the spot, you can make your decision and choose your direction. So from that moment on, you can say, you go your way, I'll go mine. That's possible too. Just like a high-pitched note goes out or a low-pitched note goes out when our instruments play high or low notes.
just once in my life.
Let's go. That person has no specific goal or destination anymore. In Dongnae, Nokchon, those who were uninformed simply followed the crowd. Some people followed along, while others turned back to Korea. Following would have led to the same fate. There were various reasons for survival, but it's now impossible to know about those people or events outside that area.
But now...
It's hard to conclude that a Korean person died because they drank seawater out of desperation. There weren't that many situations where people drank seawater, and there weren't that many cases of people moving around. In situations where there wasn't much movement, you could easily recognize people by their appearance. And if someone came out to the sea, you would know who they were.
Even in the sea.
Thinking that you don't really know much about the terrain or features here, if you say, since there are a lot of mountains and water here, it's like this, then yes, there are some similarities.
And then
There is a tidal flat in the north,
Sariwon, a little.
This is how they do it, but here they do it with small nets, medium nets, and large nets, like this. So, there are people who know the fish seasons well and come here, and since they come here, I think they imagine things like that. Even among fishermen, there are people who know the sea well, so they call it gaegyol. But people from other places who come here might think, why do they call it gaegyol instead of mudflat? I don't really know why we call it gaegyol instead of mudflat. Do you know why it's called gaegyol? When the tide goes out, there are places where the mudflats are exposed, and there are places where the water remains. But in those places, the water is shallow, really shallow, just barely covering the ground. That's because we have a unique way of living that comes from our own experiences, so that's why we call it that. Sometimes you can catch fish there, and sometimes you can catch crabs. That's just how it is here, and now you have to get used to it with us. You'll learn about it as you go. There's no secret to it. But this time, while filming this scene, I realized again that your family is really different from us. Even though we live in the same environment, their mindset is completely different from ours. We filmed the show together, but honestly, we just did the filming without getting too close. Hey, I'm not that smart, and I didn't go that far. When we actually came here, I wondered if we would be able to save up a few bucks, or if we would even be able to save any money at all. I had those thoughts, but honestly, I didn't even have enough money to get by. So I wondered if I could even make it. Afterwards, we just went, not knowing what the situation would be like. We had to remove a few memory modules from the power supply unit, and since we didn't know what would happen, we just went in and brought them out as quickly as possible. The thought lingered in my mind during my commute to the office and persisted even after I arrived. It consumed me the entire time, and truthfully, I shared those sentiments. At first, Jae Hyung-gu led us down the main street in front of the security office.
So we went in.
Nearby was Hyung-gu's house, so we went there, went inside, and just hung out. What do you think happened next?
Why did you do that then?
I even took pictures myself, holding the camera and taking shots. Not just me, but a few others took pictures too. And then we all looked at them together right after. Yeah, that's right.
Just like that at the beach.
So that's how it happened, taking pictures at the beach.
Bayon's situation is...
Since that's how it was, I couldn't possibly bring a gun to the beach just to take a few pictures. And we did that kind of thing too, but it wasn't something we did often. But now the important thing is that they still have the courage.
With courage.
Even so, it's a harsh reality, but since they came and told us, haha. So if your family came here by boat from North Korea, that's already something. Still, that's...
In that region, it's called Gangryang.
I knew that in Gangryang people had the ability to cross. So since they had the ability, they could get on a boat, cross over, and things like that. But then, even just a month ago, for about 8 days, it was like that. But then suddenly, someone else appeared in front of me, and another person disappeared. So looking at that, it seems like now there are more North Korean defectors coming directly across the border than those coming through China. I feel like there are a lot more people coming directly to our side now. Now a group of people, not just one or two.
Dozens.
At the same time now, Kang Rayok, Yangjin, Yonan, and Baek Cheon Cheongdan, if they all come like this, wouldn't the situation get out of hand and chaos ensue?
Directly from Cheongdan as well.
On the same day, at the same time, from Cheongdan, Yonan, Kangryok, and Yangjin, if the boats all depart at once and arrive together, that's what could happen. If that happens, how could South Korea possibly stop it? If that's the case, in the East Sea, ships can be tracked by radar, but in the West Sea, if they're only carrying goods, supplies, or people, they could come in undetected.
And also, 백과 가벼운.
A building like a northern fortress. As a riverboat has no obstructions, it can go straight or turn quickly at any point. Similarly, a sailboat can turn at a specific spot, making it impossible to intercept. I was contemplating if such a scenario could occur. From the Cheongdan area of Yonan, Hwanghae province, people who saw all the boats floating on the Ongjin River would come and get on the boats. If that's the case, could we get that from North Korea? That's something only the military can do. But that's up to the North Korean people's choice. So from our government's perspective, there are humanitarian reasons to accept them, but there are also many reasons not to. Actually, we need to clearly distinguish this. The situation in the North and the South is politically very different, and we have to keep that in mind. Most North Korean defectors intend to settle in South Korea, but many arrive via China or other countries. South Korea must be aware of this and accept these individuals as well. But in our ancient history, there is no record of people from the north or south crossing over to Korea for political reasons. You have to be certain about your identity and come here with that in mind. If you're 100% sure about your identity, that's why in those parts we are originally from the south, but in the north they are very wary of people from the south. They are afraid that if you cross the border and come from the south, you might be a spy, so they are very cautious. If you cross the border, go over the highlands, and come from the south, they are suspicious of you. If the South Korean government doesn't accept you in that situation, South Koreans will inevitably feel even more alienated. It's unimaginable that they wouldn't accept you. Hearing about it in a story makes me imagine the situation, but only when people risk their lives crossing rivers and mountains to come here can you truly grasp what it's like. The reason is that recently, people from Hwanghae-do and Gangwon-do have been coming over by boat to the west coast, and that's been increasing little by little. The reason is that it's much easier to come over from China by boat now. Recently, around 15 people were discovered and apprehended for certain activities. This is because people are coming directly by boat to the west coast, so more and more people are coming directly by boat. And if we let them know the news in advance, and if we make it possible for them to know about these things in North Korea, wouldn't more people be able to come directly? That's what I thought. The route they took was straight across the sea, risking their lives. Next, I'll share the story I made into a movie or drama.
If you do it, it's North Korea.
The spectators are not residents, but defectors who have already fled to South Korea.
But we...
When you come here, you can see at a glance the various situations that South Korean fishermen and North Korean fishermen have faced in the West Sea. But for the local residents, that's a huge influence. Since it's right over there, those people must be living well like that. If you show this as a movie or a drama,
If you just hear about it once...
I thought that if it was released to the public, people would really like it. But the problem is it's not that easy, you know. They say that a lot of things come from the anxiety of love, but I don't think everything comes from the anxiety of love. And also, that's a movie that depicts the lives of the children of high-ranking North Korean officials, people who would never be able to defect under normal circumstances.
Secretly... Possibility.
There isn't any. Now people like Lee-Cherun, Lee Jae-seo, Bae Ta-go, and Oshin, and those who came after them, and people like us who grew up watching movies like Yo-yeon, if we could make and watch these kinds of movies in North Korea, then, well, even if the language is different from Chinese, if we go to Japan, it might be even faster, right? But no, most of the people who are passionate about Lee Jae-seo's works are not on that side.
They can't. It's blocked.
It's a minefield and there's barbed wire.
And it's a restricted area.
There are a lot of important buildings and too many fences and barriers. And when we came here, or when we came to the United States, the situations we faced, and the situations that the Korean military or the Korean government had to deal with. And connecting that story, even the groups that are living well and settled in South Korea, if we show that story through a movie, then all the residents of our region, including Hwanghae and North Gyeongsang, will see it. How did it happen by chance?
돈서 황해도...
Not only by Ulsan, but also people from Yanggangdo say that everyone there behaves in a similar manner. First of all, even the soldiers who are stationed there and guarding the place must be nervous, right? Isn't it possible that the soldiers themselves might all just run away or desert their posts? Because frankly, the border area has a lot of places where you can see South Korea well, so the soldiers guarding there might also be curious and long for South Korea. When you look at it like this, you can see South Korea, but the education they receive is all about negative images of South Korea. They may feel hostile, but they can still perceive it. Now, if you look at North Korea, a lot of Korean culture has spread there, so even though they say it's not like that, little by little, their perception is changing. You can see it a lot, and it could become an important turning point. In conclusion, when it comes to North Korean defectors, China or Russia are the main routes. Right now, they are in a very difficult and complicated situation, and it's hard to find a way out.
Or somewhere else.
Most of the routes,
Doing it like this.
that's also...
Revealing it like that.
There are also a lot of people who don't like to be so open and revealing like this.
With these kinds of stories.
And by actually doing these kinds of things, I was able to share them once. That's why there's a long way for me to come to Korea.
Several ways.
There are many routes open, and if you reveal those routes just once through a movie or drama, not only Koreans living abroad, but also overseas fans,
People call defectors like this.
there are many routes where people can see it. So it's too much for those parts to do it alone.
It's hard, really.
Today, Seohai suggested this, and seeing that, I realized that there are a lot of people living in the area where Seohai lives who might be able to help. So, in order to make it easier for them to help, we came up with this plan and these ideas. Anyway, recently, there haven't been many people defecting, you know? There aren't many people defecting to North Korea or China these days. On a recent trip to Russia, I encountered only about 4 people from North Korea. This indicates that the number of people leaving North Korea has significantly decreased compared to previous years. So I realized that it's going to be a while before we see new North Korean defectors. So when it comes to coming straight here, that's why nowadays I try to be careful and not talk too much about the escape stories of North Korean defectors. Because there are people who come directly and there are people who come through other countries. So I try to be cautious when I talk about these things. How was the salt today? Did you just sit and live in that old attic?
Korea and also
The thoughts and feelings I have for the people from our hometown, my heart feels very full. When I first saw that scene, I wondered, why couldn't we get along from the start? Open up to each other, let go of resentment despite suffering, and speak honestly in the community. Those were my complicated feelings. Recently, people are still crossing the West Sea and coming to the south by boat from Hwanghae province. This made me realize that many are still escaping and defecting from there. I thought that perhaps our fellow Hwanghae people are gathering together and having the same thoughts as us. Well, that's all for today. Now please subscribe to our channel, Seunghyung's YouTube, and give us a like and leave a comment. And Kimchi is running a business, so Yeonbaek Kimchi, please check it out. And if you like it, keep ordering from them.
thank you. Please watch.
Everyone, thank you.